I wasn't supposed to be outside. The birthday party was still going on inside. The music was loud. Laughter floated through the night air, and the smell of Nyama Choma and expensive perfume lingered everywhere. But something had pulled me out, something I couldn't explain. Maybe it was intuition. Or maybe it was God whispering, "Makena, go see for yourself." I took off my heels and walked barefoot through the grass behind my house, heading toward the back gate, trying to breathe through the noise in my head. That's when I saw them. Sifa, Luca, kissing. Her hand was wrapped around his neck. His fingers were on her waist. Her lips were on his. And they looked comfortable. I stood there frozen. I didn't move. I didn't speak. The plate I was carrying dropped from my hand and shattered on the stone pavement with a loud clang. They broke apart immediately. Luca turned, eyes wide, lips still wet. "Makena, I can explain." "Explain what?" I choked. "That you were tasting my best friend behind my house?" Sifa stepped forward, fixing her weave like she'd just bumped into me in a supermarket. "Makena, it's not what you think," she said casually. "We were just talking." "Do you talk with your tongues now?" I wanted to scream, cry, tear my dress, pull her braids, shake Luca until he remembered who flew him into this country. But my heart was too shattered to react. I walked away. But as I walked, every memory slapped me harder than the last. 2 months earlier, Luca and I had been dating online for almost a year. We met on Instagram after he liked one of my pictures, a simple selfie with no makeup, just me in a kitenge dress holding a mango. He commented, "You're stunning. Greetings from Rome." I thought it was just a random compliment. But he kept coming back, liking my stories, reacting to my reels. Eventually, he slid into my DMs. At first, I was cautious. A foreign man? Talking to a regular Kenyan girl? He must be a player. But he proved me wrong. He was kind, sweet, gentle. He always replied with full paragraphs, used emojis like heart and globe showing Europe, Africa, and called me amore mio. He sent me pictures of his dog, his family, even his mother, who apparently said I looked like a goddess. We started FaceTiming. I would wake up early just to catch him before he went to bed. Sometimes, he'd send me money randomly to buy something sweet for your beautiful smile. Other times, we'd fall asleep on video call just listening to each other breathe. Then one day he said, "I want to visit you in Nairobi." I was nervous, but also over the moon. He landed in Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on a rainy Thursday evening. I wore a tight white dress and stood with a bouquet of red roses, waiting. When I saw him coming out of the arrival gate, dragging his suitcase and smiling like I was the only woman in the world, I melted. We hugged like we'd been in love forever. I took him everywhere. Village Market, Giraffe Center, Nairobi National Park. He tried ugali with fish, danced to Saudi soul, and even said nakapenda in a horrible but adorable accent. He was obsessed with me. That's what I thought. He met my family. My mom adored him. My little nephew wouldn't stop calling him Uncle Luca. And then I made the biggest mistake of my life. I introduced him to Sifa. Sifa was my best friend since high school. We'd shared dorm beds, menstrual cramps, matatu rides, and all our secrets. She was the first person I'd call when something good or bad happened. She always had lip gloss in her bag and too many Instagram followers for someone who worked at a hardware store. When she heard Luca was visiting, she screamed, "I have to meet him. Babe, this is so romantic." At first, I thought it was harmless. The first time they met was at Java. She hugged him like a sister, said, "Wow, so tall and handsome," and kept laughing at his jokes like he was Kevin Hart. But I didn't see the red flags. She'd suddenly call me to ask, "Hey, is Luca around? Can I come hang?" She wore tighter dresses whenever we met. Always stood too close. Always offered to take our couple pictures. She once even said, "If he wasn't yours, I swear I'd date him." I laughed, foolishly. And now, they were kissing behind my house like I didn't exist. Like the love we had didn't matter. Like the months of calls, tears, dreams, and prayers were nothing. That night, I didn't cry. I just sat on my bed staring at the ceiling. Because betrayal by a lover hurts. But betrayal by a best friend? It burns. And bestie, that was just the beginning. The morning after I caught them kissing, I woke up with a swollen heart. I didn't sleep, but my eyes had cried enough tears to fill a river. I checked my phone, expecting at least one apology text from Luca. Nothing. Instead, Sifa had sent me a long WhatsApp message. Babe, please don't misunderstand what you saw. Luca and I were just talking. He was going through something, and I was comforting him. You know I'd never do anything to hurt you. I love you, Makena. I stared at the message, shaking. Comforting him? With your lips? I didn't reply. 2 days later, Luca called me. His voice was soft, like he was scared of me. Makena, I messed up. I admit it, but you don't understand. I was confused. Confused about what? I asked coldly. He hesitated, then said something that made my stomach turn. Sifa told me some things about you. Things I didn't know. And I started to doubt us. I felt the blood drain from my face. What things? She said, you're not serious about me. That you once told her you were only with me because I'm a foreigner. That you were still seeing your ex. I sat up. What? He continued. She said you once laughed and said I was too soft. That you'd drop me the moment someone richer came along. I covered my mouth. She was poisoning him. Flashback, a month earlier. We had taken Luca to Sifa's birthday party at a fancy lounge in Westlands. He wore a black shirt and tight jeans, and Sifa wore a backless silver dress that didn't leave much to the imagination. At the party, she kept pulling him for pictures. Let's take just one more selfie, Luca. Say cheese. I noticed her lipstick always looked freshly applied after their pictures. That night, I asked Luca, is Sifa making you uncomfortable? He smiled. She's friendly. But you're the only one I want, amore. But the seed had been planted. And now I realized Sifa had been working on Luca behind my back all along. She told him I was seeing my ex, probably because I once bumped into my ex at Sarit Center and mentioned it to her casually. She twisted every innocent detail into a weapon. She made him believe he was just one of my options, not the love of my life. 2 weeks later, they went public. On Instagram, Sifa posted a photo of herself sitting on Luca's lap at the coast. Her caption? Unexpected love is the sweetest. Italy kiss mark #beach vibes #love wins. I wanted to throw my phone. The comments were full of fire emojis and fake messages. People didn't know the truth. They didn't know she had stolen my boyfriend with lies. And Luca? He was grinning like a fool. Like he'd found something pure. I wanted to scream. My heart was bleeding, and yet somehow she was living my dream. Traveling. Posting soft life content. Wearing the anklet I bought from Maasai Market. One night, Sifa called me. I almost didn't pick up, but I wanted to hear what poison sounded like. Makena, she started, I never meant to hurt you. You left a gap. Luca needed someone to talk to. I just fell in love. You mean you climbed into love? Like a thief, I snapped. She went quiet. You know, maybe if you had shown him more affection, he wouldn't have looked elsewhere. That broke me. You were my sister, Sifa, I said, voice shaking. You knew how much I prayed for him. How I stayed up late just to talk to him. You even helped me plan his trip. You smiled in my face while plotting my downfall. She sighed. Life happens. Then she hung up. I screamed into my pillow that night. Not because I wanted Luca back, but because my heart was in pieces over the betrayal. He could have been just another man. But Sifa? She was my person. My ride or die. My secret keeper. My birthday twin. Now, she was the one dancing with the man I waited almost a year to meet. And no one knew what she had done. But I made a promise to myself that night. I wouldn't cry again. I would rise. And before the world, I would expose her lies. They say stolen things never bring peace, and now Sifa was finding that out the hard way. From the outside, their relationship looked perfect. She was posting couple pictures every week. They had matching outfits, vacation videos, late-night dinners at fancy rooftops, and soft girl-era captions that made it seem like she'd finally won. But I knew the truth. And soon, so did Luca. It started with a call. I was in the salon, getting braids done, when I saw a familiar number flash on my screen. Luca. I hesitated. I almost declined it. But curiosity won. Hello. Silence. Then a heavy sigh. Makena? I didn't respond. He continued, I know I shouldn't be calling you, but I needed to talk to someone who really knows me. You have Sifa for that, I said, coldly. He chuckled bitterly. Sifa doesn't know me. Sifa doesn't even like me. Not the real me. Now he was talking. I stood up, walked outside the salon, and leaned against a tree. Then why are you with her? He was quiet for a moment, then said, because I thought you were using me. She made me believe you were lying to me from the start. I thought she was protecting me. And now? I asked. She's different now. Demanding. Controlling. She always wants to post me, tag me, show me off like a trophy. But when I'm not looking, she's texting other guys. I almost dropped the phone. What? Yeah. I saw messages from someone saved as M-Pesa in her phone. She called him babe and told him I was just an Italian passport. I gasped. Oh, the audacity. Flashback. A week earlier, Luca's POV. Luca was in the bedroom, charging his phone, when he heard Sifa giggling on the balcony. He walked out quietly, just in time to hear her say, he thinks I love him. He's such a puppy. But if this green card doesn't go through soon, I swear I'm done. His chest tightened. He turned and walked away before she could see him. That night, he didn't touch her. Didn't even speak. And that was the beginning of the end. Back to Makena. So why don't you leave her? I asked. Luca sighed. Because I messed up. And part of me feels like I deserve her. After what I did to you. There it was. Guilt. It was eating him alive. He continued, Makena. I think I made the biggest mistake of my life. I closed my eyes. I wanted to say, yes, you did. But instead I whispered, it's too late now. Then I hung up. Meanwhile, Sifa was spiraling. She started posting weird things online. Not all love is loyal. Be careful who you fall for. Some people are good actors. Just pray you're not the script. She was indirectly throwing shots at Luca, trying to guilt-trip him online. But the real show began when she texted me again. Hey babe. I know we've been through a lot, but I want us to meet and talk. For real this time. No drama. Just woman to woman. I laughed. Woman to woman? The same woman who snatched my man and fed him lies? Still, something inside me said, go. So I agreed. We met at a small cafe near Kilimani. I wore a simple black dress and no makeup. She showed up in a flashy outfit, lashes too long, wig too shiny. But her smile was fake. We sat across from each other, and for a moment, she looked like the Sifa I used to know. Makena, she began, I've been thinking. We were sisters before all this. I don't want a man to ruin our bond. I sipped my juice slowly. But you let him ruin it. She sighed. Luca is confused. I think he still loves you. That's why I'm trying to fix things. I raised my brow. Fix what exactly? She hesitated. Then said, maybe we can all be cool again. Start over. I'm tired of fighting. I leaned in. No, Sifa. You're not tired of fighting. You're tired of losing. Luca is slipping through your fingers, and you want me to help you hold him. But I'm not your helper. Her smile dropped. I stood up, dropped a 500 shilling note on the table, and said, next time you want to lie, make sure the man you're lying for doesn't call me first. Then I walked out, leaving her speechless. That day, I realized something. I wasn't the loser in this story. I was the lesson. And now that Luca was starting to see the truth, I had a decision to make. Should I take him back? Or should I let them both drown in the fire they lit? There's a certain power that comes after heartbreak, especially when you survive betrayal from both your man and your best friend. And I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was plotting. 3 weeks had passed since my quiet cafe conversation with Sifa. She thought she had me wrapped around her painted little finger. She believed I was still the same soft Makena. But I had grown teeth. Sharp ones. I wasn't going to fight her with fists or insults. I was going to fight her with proof, presence, and poise. That's when I texted Luca's Italian friend, Marco. Marco had visited Kenya once, back when Luca and I were still in love. He liked my vibe and followed me on Instagram. I remembered he once told Luca, "If you ever mess this girl up, I'll take her myself." So I texted him. "Hey Marco, are you free this weekend? I need a favor." It's time the truth came out. He replied immediately. "Anything for the real queen." What's the plan? Saturday came. I organized a small private party at a rooftop lounge in Lavington. I called it a networking mixer. But in reality, it was a trap. I invited Luca. I invited Sifa. And I invited a few mutual friends to witness what was about to go down. Then I sent Marco the audio files. "Yes, bestie." The voice notes. Remember how Sifa used to tell Luca lies about me? What she didn't know was that I had once screen recorded a video of her voice notes when Luca sent them to me, asking for advice. They were pure poison. "Makena doesn't love you. She just wants to travel. She told me she's waiting for a richer man. Don't fall too deep. Honestly, she laughs at your accent behind your back." I gave them all to Marco. And we had a plan. That evening, I wore a long red dress. My makeup was flawless. My heels tapped the floor with purpose. I didn't come to argue. I came to bury them gracefully. Sifa and Luca arrived together, late, of course. She was clinging to his arm like a trophy, smiling too wide, acting like the queen of the evening. When she saw me, her smile froze. I walked up and hugged them both lightly. "Welcome. Drinks are over there." Then I walked away and gave Marco the signal. He stood near the DJ and tapped the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen, before the party kicks off, we have a little surprise, an exclusive voice drop." The lights dimmed. And then, Makena doesn't really love him. She told me he's a passport, not a person. He's just temporary. The voice was clear. Sifa's voice, playing loudly for everyone to hear. People gasped. Luca's eyes widened in shock. Sifa looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her. I walked to the center, took the mic from Marco, and smiled sweetly. Since everyone heard these lies, it's only fair that everyone hears the truth too. I never dated Luca for his passport. I loved him, but while I was praying for our future, my best friend was digging up my past and feeding it to him as poison. I turned to Sifa. "I loved you like a sister, but you wanted my man, my peace, and my place. Now you can keep the man, but not the peace." I turned to Luca. "You didn't just break my heart. You believed lies without asking me. And now you see who you really trusted." Then I dropped the mic on the table and walked away. The silence was delicious. Later that night, Marco and I sat by the balcony, sipping wine. He turned to me. "You handled that like a queen." I laughed. "That's because I am one." He smiled. "You know, you deserve someone who actually sees that." I looked at him and whispered, "Maybe I already have." Meanwhile, Luca tried to call me. Again. Sifa's Instagram was quiet for the first time in weeks. No pictures. No captions. No beach videos. They had both been exposed. And now they had to sit in the shame together. My healing didn't come from getting revenge. It came from rising above them with my dignity intact. And for the first time in a long while, I slept in peace. The morning after the party, I woke up feeling light. Not because anything magical had happened, but because for the first time, I didn't care who was talking, texting, or thinking about me. I wasn't bitter. I was free. I made myself tea, played Tiwa Savage on low volume, and stretched under the soft morning sun that poured through my kitchen window. Then my phone buzzed. Luca is at the gate. It was my neighbor. She'd seen him pacing with a bouquet of flowers and a gift bag. I didn't flinch. I simply replied, "Please tell him I'm not home." That afternoon, I got a long text from Luca. "Makena, I'm sorry. I didn't know who to believe. I thought I was protecting myself, but I ended up losing the only real one I had. I see it now. Sifa manipulated me. I fell for it. And now I hate myself for pushing you away." He went on and on about how much he missed me, how my energy was pure, how Sifa had turned bitter and mean once they got together, how she insulted him when the money slowed down, how he regretted everything. But I didn't reply, because I had healed past needing that apology. Meanwhile, Sifa's world was crumbling. Mutual friends stopped inviting her to events. No one wanted drama. No one trusted her. Even her side guy, Mr. M-Pesa, had ghosted her when her reputation started rotting in public. Her Instagram followers dropped. Her salon business slowed down. Suddenly, the it girl was now the forgotten girl. She sent me a DM. "I'm sorry, Makena. I was jealous. I always felt like you had everything, even without trying. I should have been happy for you. Instead, I tried to steal your joy." Still, I didn't reply. Let her sit in it. As for me, bestie, I was glowing. Sparkles. I started doing small content creation gigs, talking about healing, self-worth, and bouncing back after betrayal. Women from all over sent me messages like, "Your story gave me strength. You taught me not to fight dirty, just rise higher." And guess who became my first brand partner? Marco. Yes, the same Marco who helped expose the lies. We started working on travel vlogs together. He showed me parts of Kenya I had never seen. Naivasha, Nanyuki, Watamu. But somewhere along the way, work turned into laughter. Laughter turned into soft looks. And those looks? They turned into something deeper. He respected me, prayed with me, listened. He didn't try to fix me, he just stood beside me as I rebuilt myself. One evening, as we sat on the beach in Watamu, he said, "Makena, if you let me, I'd like to give you the love you gave to someone who didn't deserve it." I looked at him and smiled. "I won't rush, but I'm open." He took my hand and kissed it softly. That's all I need. Now I wake up without bitterness, without that tight feeling in my chest, without checking who's online or who's watching my stories. Because healing is the best revenge. And peace? It's louder than any betrayal. Thought Balloon Final Reflections. I loved Luca deeply, but loving someone doesn't mean letting them stay after they betray you. And I trusted Sifa, but sometimes the deepest wounds come from the hands that once held us. So I learned to bless people as they leave, even if they exit holding pieces of my heart. Because I know now, what's stolen can be replaced, but what's real can't be snatched. And bestie, I'll never forget that. Not every friend is your sister, and not every lover is your forever. The people closest to you can betray you, but it's how you rise from that betrayal that defines your power. Makena's story teaches us that trust is fragile, and once broken, it's hard to repair, especially when lies come from those we love most. Self-worth is sacred. You don't need to beg, compete, or fight for love or friendship that is true. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes, the best revenge is glowing, healing, and moving forward in silence. What's meant for you will always find you, no matter who tries to block it. And most of all, the woman who chooses peace over chaos, silence over drama, and growth over revenge, she always wins in the end.